Things been a little slow, but decided to, pop in.
Pop in.
Have they really?
No news, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing going on.
No.
Well, we got a list. How's
You
that?
do.
We got a list.
Yeah, it's an Excel sheet. I'm really
Yeah,
scared.
I'm going to say I'm on
Let's
page
go.
2
Here we go.
already.
Let's go through the list.
Oh, boy.
Senator Gallego, here you go.
God, I feel like I'm back in the Catholic school.
Yeah. Well, you're
All right.
yeah. Well, we'll get to a lot of things.
Oh,
I
my
promise.
gosh.
We're going to talk
All
about
right.
a bunch.
I want to hear about Iran. I want to hear,
Yeah.
you're a Marine. We're going to get to that in the second part of
Yes.
the interview.
I want to start off with something that came out this week, a New York Post article that says that you engaged in sexual relationships with House staffers, 2 different House staffers, back when you were a representative, before you were a senator. You've admitted to these 2 relationships per that. Both of them were aides to Texas Democrats. Is it appropriate to have relationships with congressional staffers?
Well, first of all, look, I'm not going to engage in gossip of things that happened 8 years ago when I was single. And certainly, no one that ever worked for me or anything like that. That is absolutely not appropriate, right? Look, right now the House is having the debate about whether or not they should, that should engage. I'm for changing the rules. I'm now married. I'm happily married. I moved on. When I was dating, I was single. I was dating, I was single. I did everything by the rules. But again, I'm not going to engage in gossip about people I dated 8 years ago.
Well, I will say that there was no allegation of inappropriate behavior, unlike some other things we've heard with others. But so you're in support of, and again, I want to say Speaker Johnson introduced something today
absolutely.
of a rule, because it's already the rule that you wouldn't have relationships with your own staff.
Correct,
Which would be like a workplace issue.
100%.
But this would expand to all other staffers on the Hill.
Yeah. Even before this, I actually had been in support of that. And look, you have to have regulations. Right now, even the regulations that are on the book, they're not even being enforced. You have Abe Hamadeh, who's living with one of his staffers right now. You have a couple of other senators, members of Congress that are actually under ethics investigation. There's no movement there. So certainly whatever you can do to reinforce the current rules and actually move forward, but just be transparent. And so we all understand what goes forward. And I think at the end of the day, that's what people want.
Senator Ruben Gallego in studio with us. So it's the optics of it. It's should members maybe not have these romantic relationships with congressional staff. It's an imbalanced power dynamic of an elected official dating a staffer. That's what we're looking at here, right? It's more of the optics.
I think workplace, the workplace environment changes all the time, and I think we have to, adjust to that, right? Look, there's been people that have actually met their spouses this way. One of the current leaders of the Republican Party, Lisa Stefanik, met her husband while he was a staffer for another office. You have senators that have met their wives while they were staffers for others. So clearly times have changed, and I think we should be able to change the rules and the handbooks and the process to meet that demand, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Did you think the New York Post wanted to smear you?
Oh, absolutely. There was no specifics there. We don't know who they're really talking about at the end of the day. And look, this is something that on the Hill, even among reporters, among people like that, this has happened for ages on end with other, elected officials and stuff like that. They particularly wanted to just pile on because they saw an opening. They know that this kind of stuff just goes viral.
So when you were dating these women, did you ever think this could be an appearance of impropriety?
Well, again, without going into any details and following up to gossip, every time I dated anybody, my whole thing that I focused on was being a gentleman. Acting like I would want someone to act when it comes to how someone would want to treat my daughters or my sisters and things of that nature. And, of course, I treated everyone like adults, and they treated me like adults.
Representative Luna out of Florida, following along
Luna,
this.
yeah.
Okay, well, your words, not mine. She made some, and again, if I get this story wrong, I'm not purposely trying to do it. She made allegations that a attorney representing a woman,
this was in April,
had come to her with allegations of something towards you. I've never heard anything since then.
Yeah, no one goes back and asks her at all. So her whole rumors was I got these women coming in with these lawyers. Nothing came forward. She sent whatever information she had to that Senate Ethics Committee. I went to the Senate Ethics Committee and said, hey, I'm here to be transparent. Let's get this done. I'll answer whatever questions you did. We sat there. We gave them everything they needed. They said nothing happened there. And so what you're seeing here is really something that's kind of a bigger picture, right? You see this kind of politicization of, the DOJ that's happening, and now this is extending down to things like this. So Luna has been very much involved in this. She's very much in touch with the White House. It's not a coincidence. I think that as soon as the ethics committee cleared me, 1 hour later, the DOJ started this probe. It's all connected at the end of the day.
Okay.
I mean, she's saying sexual misconduct, though, which is, different than what we talked about earlier, which is, two adults having a relationship.
If she thinks, like, bring it to the Senate Ethics Committee, bring somebody forward. Like, this is
because no one has come forward, and the attorney hasn't made themselves known.
It's also just unfair to me and my family, right? You want to just throw accusations out there. I have a family. I have kids. Like, do I want them to hear about these things when I know there's nothing there, but they just kind of keep throwing out there, and there's no consequences to these actions. So I think it's just, not to cry about it, but like, it's not fair to have accusations of that nature, and then you have no proof coming forward, especially when you're so affirmative that you have someone.
Have you talked to her? Is that something that you do? You go up? No, you don't do
talk
that.
to crazy.
Okay.
No.
She claimed on social media. Here's the quote: I've now heard of 4 women who have had multiple and uncomfortable, inappropriate advances, comments, touching, etc., from Senator Gallego. I mean, what is your reaction to that? She wrote it on social media.
Sure, it's a lie. And
Okay.
if
it's a lie, like, do you go after her? Do you sue her? Is this just it's a Republican yelling at a Democrat?
I don't want to like start like more news, but we'll look at all options. The problem is that because she's a member of Congress, she's got protected speech. But I would ask that someone to just be responsible and actually understand what they're saying, right? You're saying you have 4 people affirmatively coming forward, then give those names to the ethics committee. Give somebody so that way we could actually clear this up. But instead, this is just part of what happens in politics now. You can just throw names out there without any actual, basis. Throw the accusation out there, get it like picked up by a piece of paper like the New York Post. Then it gets bounced around on the right-wing ecosystem, and then it just kind of gets accepted as the truth. And I think, unfortunately, that's what's happening in politics and just in life in general now.
Why do you? All right, so you think she's attacking you? You say what she's saying is not true, Senator Gallego. Is the obvious answer? Why is she doing it? It's just politics, or is it?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I think
But why you? Why is she picking you out? Why is she targeting you?
Well, number one, I think it's very simple in one regard. Number one, there's a couple of Democrats. There's only a couple of Democrats that are thinking of running for president that have won red states. I'm one of them.
Okay.
There's only a couple of Democrats that can speak to working class America, especially Latino men. I'm one of them. There was, I think because of what happened with, let's be clear, because I'm sure you guys bring this up at some point, what happened with Eric Swalwell.
We're going to do
that. They saw this as an opening and like, let's get him now, hoping that something would show up. But guess what? Nothing showed up, so they're just trying to kind of dogpile on with more and more misinformation.
You brought up Eric Swalwell. It is reported, I won't put words in your mouth, that you two were friends, social friends in some way, shape, or form.
Were you best friends?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we were best friends at one point. I'm not here to lie and tell you guys that we weren't. We're family friends. Our kids, had camps together. We had dinners together.
Are you still friends?
No. We haven't spoken since the allegations.
Now, he denies the allegations against him. He denies them, but certainly he dropped out. He was running for governor of California, had left his House seat to do that. It gets back to a question of judgment, I think, for a lot of folks out there, where, again, all these little things, the death of 1,000 cuts, whatever you want to refer to it as, how would you explain, then, your relationship with Mr. Swalwell, and did you ever see anything that made you question that relationship?
No, I never had any idea of the extent of anything what we're hearing about or even close to that. But look, we all have guy friends. Do you know what your guy friends are doing all the time? Do you know all your guy friends that live in another part of the country? When you're traveling, you have your own kids, you don't know what the hell's going on with most of your friends. You just assume that from what your experience with them is that they're doing everything right, that they're being good family men, because that's what you see in front of you, right? And, that's what I saw. What I saw was us being, family friends, us going to family parties, us, whenever we were in town together, going out to dinner as family. We didn't get to see all this other stuff because all this stuff happened outside of that. But you think about everyone else in this world, right? Politics is a little different from the reality. But in reality, not everyone knows their friend as much as they thought they did. And I think this is just one of those situations. And, I did not see it. And a lot of us did not see it. Actually, almost all Washington, D.C. did not see it.
Senator Ruben Gallego in studio. Let's go from Swalwell to Graham Plattner. former Maine
Keep
Senate.
it rolling.
candidate,
Just
yeah.
keep it rolling.
The hits keep on coming, Senator.
He was a Democrat. He was running for Senate. You endorsed him, then you unendorsed him. He's got a Nazi tat. We've got allegations of rape. And what I said the other day when those, why would you endorse a Nazi? Why would you endorse this guy even in the first place? Who cares if he's a Democrat? If he's got a tat and it's a Nazi tat, isn't that, maybe I'll go with somebody different.
Well, look, for me, the prime motivation was, number one, I endorsed him right after the Iran war started because I wanted someone to be there that understands what was happening, what I had dealt with. Number two, I was a young, stupid Marine. And I came pretty close to getting some really stupid tattoos when I was on deployment. It would have been one of those Japanese scripts that probably didn't say what I thought it said.
Right.
But when I heard of this tattoo, and I know exactly how it is to be 25 on a deployment, he went and got this tattoo with a bunch of his brothers. It wasn't like just him decided to walk in. And it wasn't like a tattoo that we normally associate as a Nazi tattoo.
It wasn't a swastika.
It's not a swastika. It's a skull and crossbones. This is the kind of stupid things that we as Marines get because it's piracy, pirate theme, right? So
You think he mistakenly got a tattoo and didn't know it was a
sure,
Nazi
and
tattoo?
here's why. Very simple, right? A, dumb Marine. Two, it's not just him. It was two other Marines that did it. If you talk to the Marines that actually that served with them, they're like, we didn't know about that. The other thing is, again, because I know this is what happens. When you re-enlist, you have to go and you have to get all your tattoos checked. So what do you get your tattoos checked? Gang affiliation, white supremacy. He had 3 enlistments every time, and some of those highly sensitive enlistments, and every time they said, that's a good tattoo. So this guy was an idiot. It's entirely possible he knew that whole time, and I believe it, he did not know what that was. When he found out it was, he should have got rid of it. But that's why I bring it from a perspective of me being dumb on my deployments of Okinawa or my deployments overseas. Like, it happens a lot, and it happens more than we think.
And then he had an allegation of rape. You pulled the endorsement.
Yeah, when we have, and I think that's very important to understand, when we had a real understanding of what's happening and we had a real source, that's when we pull the endorsement.
Senator Ruben Gallego in studio with us. He's sticking around. We got some more questions. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are. Well, we're going to get into your wheelhouse. Let's talk a little bit about Iran next.
Okay.
And from a former, once Marine, always Marine, from a Marine
No, I'm
perspective.
just kidding. Of course, I was going to stick around.
Yeah. Senator Gallego, we're back with more right here on KTAR. Well, once a Marine, always a Marine. That I'm aware of. The war with Iran. We are 5 months into this. There was a vote in the House, didn't make it through the Senate to try to rein this war in. What does winning look like in this war? As a Marine, how would you win this war?
Well, I don't want to win this war, to be clear, because the way you win this war is going to cost tens of thousands of men's lives, and I'm not sure that it's worth the win, right?
Okay.
Interesting.
I think what you need to do is actually sit down and buckle down and try to find an exit out of this war that is the best way for us to win without us having to go the full extent.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground, right?
So you think the only way we can win this war is if we put boots on the ground?
in the traditional sense, yeah. And so I think we can win this in a way that we preserve our national security, preserve our allies, but it requires real compromise. It requires real negotiations. It's going to require this president to send real negotiators. Right now, he's sending 2 people that are better known for negotiating real estate than negotiating against the Iranians. The Iranian civilization created the game chess.
Oh.
And we're sending people that figure out how to turn land as fast as possible for a buck. That's not how you win this thing.
The Weisskopf and then his son.
Right, exactly.
His son-in-law.
Son-in-law, yeah.
Are we losing the war?
We're not, I would say in the traditional sense, we're not losing the war either. But if you look at it, we are a global superpower, and we are now being held at bay and hostage to our oil, our supply, our economy by a small country, right? This is why you don't go into war without having a plan about how to win, what to do, why you're going into the war, and how to exit the war. And that's what happened. We decided, and that's the Trump administration decided that we're going to get into this war on the basis of hope that everything's going to go well and that we're going to come out winning because it happened already. It happened in Venezuela. So they thought the same thing was going to happen. We killed all their leaders, right? So therefore they should capitulate. The problem was you killed the moderate leaders. The people that survived are actually the extremists, right? And this is what happened.
The Ayatollah was the crazy of them all. They killed them.
The Ayatollah was the more moderate one than his son. His son's the crazier one.
His son is crazier.
Yes, his son is what?
We also killed his dad, his mom, like in the same room.
Yes, but
he's got a chip on his shoulder. If nothing else, I got to believe.
But again, the way you first win is you don't get into these wars this way.
Right.
You think about it. You take the proper steps to understand analysis, what you need to do. What's going to take to win? What's it take to get out of it? What does it mean to actually win?
Can I
and
ask you
prepare
quickly
first.
something about this? And it came out today is that Trump said that he spoke with Xi and Putin, and they pinky swear they're not helping the Iranians whatsoever in this war. Do you believe that?
Well, I think that what scares me is I think he said they swear they're not going to give him arms.
Okay.
Which for me, that means that's a big hole that they're leaving out. Because what really matters is the intelligence. Iran doesn't have the capability to actually be able to have satellite imagery of what we're doing, where we are, and how we're moving.
Spy satellites of
There's
our
only a few-
bases and
exactly.
things like
There's only
that.
a few other countries, and those two countries that are willing to give him that information are China and Russia. The fact that he didn't get any type of agreement on that is what scares me. Armaments, you can probably track. There's a certain amount that is only useful anyway, but the fact that we don't know and we didn't get any agreements, they're not cutting off intelligence is what we should be really afraid of, because that's the real thing that could really hurt us, right? If they know what we're doing, when we're doing it, and where we're moving, that could be very dangerous to our men and women in combat.
Senator Gallego in studio. Election denialism. Is it going to be a factor in 2026 midterms? Apparently, we didn't care about it and put Trump back in the White House. When you talk about Andy Biggs, he's in election denial. He's in denial, however you want to say it. Is it going to be a factor, or is it gas prices and the economy?
I think it's going to be both. I do think that there is a certain sector of moderate Republicans that are going to look at the slate this year in Arizona. They're going to say, I don't trust these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that I could trust them with the elections in 2028. So I just want to vote for them. At the end of the day, the majority of the vote will end up being about economics, what people are feeling right now. Gas prices are high. Housing prices are. Interest rates are high. And I tell people every time, like, someone that grew up poor, even when things start getting better, the people usually at the bottom level are always the ones that are going to hurt the longer, because usually when the way you survive is you survive off credit cards. So even if the economy gets better and your wages start going high, interest rates are still going to stay high for a while. So you're going to see a lot of people really feeling this hurt up until, I think, next year, unfortunately.
Senator, is your party going to shoot itself in the foot with the rise of democratic socialists?
I think in some areas it can. Look, there's some areas where democratic socialists can't win. There's some areas where they can win, right? And I think it's we are a big tent party. I can't win in New York City. If I ran in New York City, they would run me out of the town.
Yeah.
I think Democratic socialists can't win in Arizona. But overall, if they're running in the right areas, and if they're focusing, this is the most important thing, if they're focusing on the cost of living, if they're focusing on actually people having access to affordable health care, making their lives better, I think then you're going to have some success and be able to have that crossover vote. If you look at what happened in New York, the mayor of New York, Mandami, right? Yeah. You've seen a lot of people were very scared when he got in, and now you've seen he's done a lot of reforms basically to help build faster, extend like childcare, all these kind of things that end up being popular. If you end up doing some things that are just unpopular because you're trying to placate your very small narrow base, by the way, this is any party, you're going to end up losing, especially in places like Arizona, which is still kind of a center right state.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Can I get over time? Yeah. I got another one. ICE and the issues we've seen just in the last couple of weeks, Maine, Texas, Florida, and then obviously what happened in Minnesota. As a senator, is there anything you can do, and is there anything you're thinking of doing that would, I use the term rein ICE in?
Hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're trying everything we can. The problem is that with the full control of the House, the Senate, the White House, and potentially, and also the Supreme Court in some sense, accountability is very hard to hit. Normally, you'd have the FBI investigating ICE, right? And normally they'd have a totally different Department of Justice that are traditional, government employees that aren't Democrats, aren't Republicans. No. Will just, be like Joe Friday and just look at the facts, right? I'm just looking at the facts.
Just cops.
Right? Just cops, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very dangerous when you have no accountability in any business, by the way, in any government agency, even in the military, right? And when you're dealing in a situation like this, when you're dealing with men with weapons, and this, I'm just talking from my personal experience too, men with weapons in highly intense areas that have conflict, what happened in Minnesota, for example, and you have no sense of accountability, you're going to have potential abuse happen. I was very lucky that I had a lot of officers and sergeants and staff sergeants that would have kicked my ass if I How do I say that?
Yeah, you're good.
It already happened.
It's true.
It happened.
If they saw me mistreating a prisoner, if they felt that I was over jerky with my trigger, anything else like that.
Yeah.
I think the fact that there's no accountability to these guys is going to only encourage this. And also you have the secondary problems that you have guys that are coming in without proper training. I have ICE agents that have been friends of mine for 10 years. And Border Patrol agents have been friends of mine for 15 years. This is Arizona. We all live next to each other. They tell me that they're scared to even go out with these guys.
Really?
Because they're not well trained. Not good background checks.
Wow.
And like if you ever have had to yield a weapon in a hard situation, you want to know that person next to you is trained for it and they're mentally fit, ready to do it, because they're just as dangerous as they are to you as to your target or anything else like that. And the tactics matter too, right? I'm not going to keep going on, but the tactics matter too. If you're going to target somebody, make sure that they have a warrant. Make sure that you're actually properly, like showing that you're a police officer. Some of these guys that they've actually gotten killed was because they rammed these guys to try to pull them over to the side, and then they create a scenario that ends up being a scenario of conflict, and these guys end up getting shot.
Yeah.
Right?
You running for president?
Well, here we go, guys. After the autopsy you guys just gave me, or not the autopsy, what is that? The body cavity search. I'm going to give you the big announcement right now.
Proctology,
The proctology. Look, we're I'm not going to be a politician and say like I'll never think about that. Look, we're thinking about it, right? My first hurdle is, I have 3 children, right? And I do have a challenge of trying to figure out how to balance my time with them and my job and potentially running for office.
And if you can do that, will you run for president?
I mean, if that and like a lot of other factors would actually end up going into that. So I can't say yes or no for sure. But, my youngest is 1. We're in negotiations about whether we may have even another one.
Oh.
We're in negotiations.
I may have lost negotiations, just to be honest. But
Negotiations.
I want to make myself feel better.
Exactly.
But that factors all that.
You're thinking about it
Yeah, of course.
very deeply.
I would say surface level deeply.
Serious thought.
Surface level deeply.
Okay.
Senator Gallego, appreciate your time. On the scale of 1 to tooth extraction, how was it today?
I mean, it was tooth extraction, but like it had numb enough that I felt the pull, but not the pain. Does that make sense?
I always say, Senator, we're tough, but we're fair.
Yeah.
You guys are. No, I appreciate it.
Hope to have you back and appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to see you guys again.
That's Senator Ruben Gallego.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.